We all live in this hyper-connected world, right? A story, a single moment can literally circle the globe in minutes, capturing the attention of millions. But what happens when that viral spotlight has a dark side? Today, we're going to explore a tragic story that sits right at that very complicated, very real intersection of our digital lives and a fatal reality. To really get what's going on here, we have to start with the world this all happened in, the attention economy. Think of it like this. In our online world, visibility is the currency, and our collective focus, that's the prize. It's an environment that rewards intensity, and sometimes that intensity spills over in a big way.
And it all begins so simply, so mindlessly. It just starts with a tap,
Which is followed by a quick scroll. And it's all built around a video that lasts just a few seconds. And that's it. That's the rhythm of how we consume stories now. Fast, fleeting, and on to the next one. And you know, this system is a real double-edged sword. On one hand, the rewards are huge. A single post can launch a career, right? A single moment can define a life. But on the other hand, that exact same system can amplify our worst impulses. Quiet conflict, unspoken pressure, and really, really big misunderstandings. And that leads us to this stark, unavoidable truth. What happens online? Well, it doesn't stay online. The digital world has real, tangible, and sometimes completely irreversible consequences in our actual physical lives. To see just how real this gets, we need to move past the digital chatter for a minute and focus on the person at the very center of this tragedy, Moriah Wilson. See, Moriah wasn't just a name in a news report. She was a rising star in the world of competitive cycling, incredibly focused, driven, and just deeply passionate about her sport. Her days were spent training, pushing her limits, and building a future for herself. This is the life that was lost. So what happened? How did this incredibly promising future come to such a sudden, tragic end? Let's walk through the timeline that investigators pieced together to try and make sense of it all. Okay, so Moriah Wilson was absolutely on an upward trajectory. Then, in May of 2022, her life was cut short. The case sent shockwaves, not just through her sports community, but all across the country. It kicked off this massive investigation to figure out exactly what happened. And what that investigation uncovered? Well, it was a story way more complex than any headline could ever capture. It was this tangled web of relationships that investigators had to trace through text messages and location data. It was about emotions escalating in private chats and digital trails that painted this picture of jealousy and miscommunication. It just proves that behind every incident, there's always an intricate, messy human story. And that's where the digital world comes crashing into the real one. This case, more than many others, brings up some incredibly difficult and timely questions about the role our online lives now play in our real-world actions and relationships. It really forces all of us to ask a pretty fundamental question. Just how much does our digital world actually influence real life? I mean, are the interactions we have on our screens separate from our physical reality? Or are they now just deeply and completely tangled together? And let's take that a step further. Do our online connections, the texts, the DMs, the social media back and forths, do they actively blur the boundaries of the real world? Do they change how we see people and the situations we're in? Because on one side, yeah, these platforms connect us. They bring people closer and help build relationships. But on the flip side, they can totally distort our perceptions. A text message read without any tone, a location tag seen without any context. These little things can escalate emotions with terrifying speed and lead to the most serious consequences imaginable. So let's step back from all the digital analysis and the case files for a second. Because beyond all of that, there's a profound and often unseen human cost that we really have to talk about. A tragedy like this is never, ever an isolated event. It creates these ripples of loss that spread outward, touching families, friends, and entire communities. We're talking about lives that can never be replaced and moments that can never, ever be undone. That is the permanent, real-world impact. And, in an age where true crime stories can almost feel like another form of entertainment, it is so crucial that we remember this simple fact. This isn't just content for us to consume and then forget about. It's reality for every single person whose life was changed forever. So, what's the big takeaway here? What do we do with a story like this? I think it all comes down to remembering what, or maybe who, is behind every single screen. The core lesson here really boils down to two simple but incredibly powerful ideas. First, every action, from a comment you type in a hurry to a real-world decision, it has consequences. And second, every choice we make carries weight. It influences not just our own lives, but the lives of others in ways we can't always see coming. And maybe this is the most critical insight from this entire story. That line we all imagine exists between our online selves and our real-life selves, it is so much thinner than we like to believe. So, if there's one thing you take away today, let it be this. Behind every screen, behind every profile picture, and behind every comment, there is a real person with real feelings and a real life. Let's never, ever forget that.